Parents, who would you leave your children with, and if so, why? Is this someone that you trust and someone that you know that if you leave your kids with them, they will be protected beyond a shadow of a doubt? Well, this is an example of what happens when a custody battle between two parents turn nasty and ugly. This is the case of Natasha Carter. If you want to know more about this case, please continue watching. Although it was 24 years ago when Natasha Carter and her mother, Susan Carter, went missing, Natasha's father, Ricky Lafferty, never stopped looking for his daughter because the last time he saw her, she was 10 years of age, and at that time, he and her mother were battling over custody for her, and so that the father, Ricky Lafferty, did not win custody or win the court case for the custody hearing. Susan Carter took her daughter, Natasha Carter, and fled, and somehow they came into contact with a man by the name of Larry Webb, who, on his deathbed on Thursday, and this article that I'm reading this information from was updated to April 23rd of this year, 2024, and it says that Larry Webb, on his deathbed while imprisoned for something else, confessed to killing Natasha and Susan Carter by shooting them. Now, what I don't find clear is that if she owed him money or he had financial troubles for another reason, because the article did state that he did have financial troubles and these financial troubles had been going on for years. But what is unclear is if Susan owed him money, and so if she couldn't or decided not to pay him, he killed her as well as her daughter, and he told police where to find both their bodies, and now police as well as the FBI have stumbled onto what they believe to be the remains of then 41-year-old Susan Carter as well as her then 10-year-old daughter Natasha Carter. And her father, Natasha's father, said that when they found her and he knew they found her, it was a sad day, but also a happy day because he got to bring his daughter home. And I'm pretty sure, just like for any father, that would be a combination of a happy but sad day. And I'm glad that this man got the closure that he deserves and that he needs. But sadly, the killer already is deceased, so he can't really receive any justice by seeing this person spend the rest of their life in jail for the murder of his daughter. But he can get the closure and start to heal in a way that only he can, that will help him move forward in his life. And I believe the only reason this man confessed is because he, at the time of his death, was in his 80s. He knew he was going to die, and for whatever reason, he knew he was going to spend the rest of his natural life, or what little of it he had left, in prison, no matter who he murdered or how long ago it was. So he felt comfortable with telling police or FBI agents what he had actually done, because I mean, let's face it, he was already on his deathbed. So what were they gonna do? Get him up off the bed, take him immediately to the electric chair or lethal injection place where they do these things and kill him then and there? No, he knew that, so that's why he went ahead and confessed. But my curiosity is really getting the best of me on this one, because how did this mother, Susan Carter, know this man? How long had she known this man? And did she owe him money? And is that why her and her daughter ended up in this place? And like many people, or many sick-minded people, should I say, do when their customers owe them money for whatever reason, especially if they have a sick mind. They'll say, okay, if you can't pay me, then your next option is to either sell yourself to me. But if that person has already been sold to that person they owe money to numerous times, then it's not going to do anything to clear the debt for them, even if they are able to somewhat satisfy this person. So if that was also the case, then he knew that she possibly had someone else that could take her place. And unfortunately, she probably used her daughter to do this. I don't know if this is fact, but this is what I'm guessing. And she also used this as a reason to, I guess, take her daughter and start over somewhere else new or fresh, or at least that was probably what was going through her mind. And in the process, she could also prevent her daughter's father, because I'm not sure if they were married at one point or if they were just together, but she was able to stop her daughter's father from taking custody away from her and her not being with her daughter. And so, since she felt like she was the better parent and the child would be better off with her, I'm guessing that's how they ended up at this man's house, and how they ended up meeting their tragic and unfortunate end. Sad to say it that way, but that is what I think happened so far. And I don't make it my business to pick at people in less fortunate situations unless it's someone like this. Now, this sick and twisted, disgusting little man, he was 80, as I said before. Now, you would think that he would have better understanding of the world and some of the laws that he has had to live by, or supposed to have been living by his entire life. But yet and still, it seems like he does not learn his lesson, because as I read into another article, because I've read several articles on this case, just so I could bring you guys this update. It seems that this sad, sick, twisted, demented little man decided that, killing Natasha and her mother weren't enough for him. He actually was in prison because earlier in either March or April, he decided that he was going to somehow involve himself in another girl's death. Now, I don't know if this girl was the same age or even in the same age group as Natasha, or if she was a little older, but he is and was arrested for being involved in that young lady's death. And it just seems that at 80 years of age, you would sit your old decrepit self down somewhere and have sense enough to say, okay, I'm not going to kill these people because, I'm not the judge, the jury, or the executioner. So these people can be around me freely and live their lives. But some people sadly don't think that way. And they feel like it's their duty to rid the world of evil, or take revenge on somebody who has, as they feel, done them wrong in some type of way. And I know people who have died for much less. There was a story once where I saw a man, he was gambling with someone. I can't remember if it was his brother or some friends, or what were supposed to be friends, or just some guys in the neighborhood. And they were betting on the card game, of course, with money. And one of the people lost, and it was only, I think, $5. And the guy who was there, he caught the stray bullet that was meant for the guy who the other guy felt like cheated him. So basically, this poor guy was in the wrong place at the wrong time and took a bullet that was meant for somebody else. But as people always say, bullets have no name on them and they don't know a sense of direction. All they know, or all that happens when that trigger is pulled, is that a bullet comes out and it does what it's supposed to do, which is hit something. Hopefully never a person or a living animal, but it'll hit something and do what it was meant to do, which is shatter or explode. And unfortunately, in that situation, it hurt someone who the bullet was not technically meant for. But that is why people say bullets have no names on them, because often they don't go to the person or people that they're meant for. Other people who are just innocent bystanders get, hurt because of this. And this is, why I say that some people decide to play judge, jury, and executioner, which was done in the case of Natasha Carter and her mother, Susan Carter. But I also feel like, this could have possibly been prevented if all parties involved would have, I guess you could say, taken cooler heads on this situation and thought about it a little more before either of them decided to react, just like Susan did when she fled to this 80-year-old man's house. Or, of course, he wasn't in his 80s at the time, but still, he was elderly enough to where he should have known that this is not okay. Um, and, maybe if Susan would have taken the time to think about that before she, ran away with Natasha, maybe her and Natasha would still be here today and they both would be living happy, healthy, and productive lives. And, hopefully things could have turned out better. Well, I know for a fact they could have turned out better than what they did. And I'm pretty sure Natasha's father would also agree if both parties involved would have, taken time to breathe and think about the situation before either of them reacted, in which led to the death of, unfortunately, Natasha, as well as her mother. Who knows what horrors they had to endure before their death? And I'm wondering, like I said earlier, was it due to money that he killed both of them, or was it due to the fact that he had been molesting or touching Natasha for so long and he didn't want anybody to find out about it? Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like sometimes people look at other people's situations and they take what they feel can be useful to them. And it's sad that so many people have the mindset to, if they can't, have the adult, they'll take the child in place of an adult. I don't know. I've said so many times, I don't know where someone's mind has to go or what kind of trigger that their mind has to flip to say, okay, since I can't take the mother or the father, I'll just harm the child in some way that could potentially mess this child up for the rest of their life. And unfortunately, with little girls, that does happen. And as a result of these monsters, doing what they do to these little girls, that messes them up for the rest of their life if they're still lucky enough to be alive after said things have happened. These young women, unfortunately, sometimes end up being impregnated by their kidnapper slash unaliver, if you will. And I think that a lot of them are just so stupid enough to think that, okay, even though I've gotten this child pregnant, if I kill her, then no one's going to look for her. So that will absolve me of my crimes. And they think somehow in their mind that this is going to work. Now, I don't know who um you have to be to think of yourself to be smarter than the police to be able to cover up a crime. Because let's face it, even Dexter probably was suspect in a lot of the crimes that he committed. If you've watched the show, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you have not, go watch that show. It's kind of interesting but twisted. But anyway, I don't know who, has to think like this, that if they kill their victim just because they impregnated them and they're underage, that'll resolve them of their crimes. And I don't know who thinks of these things, but how many people do you think you can kill before you kill someone who has a family that will come looking for them under no matter what circumstances? Because this father, Ricky Lafferty, he looked for his daughter for 2 decades plus, and unfortunately he was able to find her, but not alive. Due to the actions of this sick, twisted little man who decided he was going to unalive both her and her mother. And I'm pretty sure, even though the father, Ricky Lafferty, was going through his issues with the mother, Susan Carter, he didn't want her to be harmed either, because let's face it, that's the mother of his child. So, of course, he would want her to be okay just as well as he would want Natasha to be okay. I don't know why, but I expected this to come up when I was reading one of the many articles that I read. But when police did a search on this man's home before, because when Natasha and Susan first went missing, it was discovered that they had been living with Webb for a little while, but it doesn't say exactly how long. It just says that they were living there. And so when police did one of their searches, Webb told a news outlet that he didn't know what happened to the girl and didn't know when the last time it was that he saw her. He said, "I don't remember. I have dementia. I can't say exactly." Now, why is it that people that elderly claim either dementia or Alzheimer's, and then the people who can't use that excuse as far as them being like younger than old enough to, I guess, technically have dementia or Alzheimer's, they go to the mental health card? Now, I have to give it to Webb. He didn't, use the "I'm crazy" card. He used the "I'm elderly and I have dementia" card, which, I mean, at this point, I don't really buy that. I think that he knew his time was up, so he felt, okay, the best thing I can do right now for myself and for those people that have been looking for these two is to confess to what I've done, and hopefully, it'll, be over soon for me. But I do have to say that, it is sad to know that this is the end that Natasha and her mother met. And, it's crazy that this man allegedly did this, because he noticed that his finances were out of order, and that a violation or violent domestic situation was about to ensue. And that is horrible. So I wonder, was he spending all the money on, like, what was he spending the money on, and how did his finances get that out of order where he felt like, oh, I have to go to these drastic measures to like fix it or correct it, which I don't see how unaliving someone, especially a small child, a defenseless child at that, is going to help correct your financial issues, sir, that's not going to do anything but make your situation worse. But some people don't think, like that. But it is said that the reason that he shot Susan was because he had money that went missing and thought she had spent a lot of his money. And this was according to a CBS affiliate, WOWK TV. And I just don't understand how him killing Susan and her daughter, or unaliving them, I'll say, both, was going to help his situation and help him to avoid detection of having killed them. I will never understand that. Like, how do people go from thinking, okay, I can, I'm having these issues, so I'm going to get out of this situation the best way I know how, which is by unaliving a 10-year-old little girl as well as her mother, simply because I've had money go missing and I think she's the one spending the money. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, could he have been having dementia and he probably thought, okay, I better hide this money just because I've been having money go missing, and he hid the money, and then he went into one of his off moments with his dementia and thought that the money was in the last place that it was at before he went into one of his off moments before he hid the money. So now it's no longer in the place that he thinks that it should be. So he's thinking that, okay, I'm missing money, so she had to be the one to take it. So let me unalive her and unalive her daughter so that there will be no witnesses when I unalive the mother. And then I can sort my financial issues out, which, yet again, I don't see how someone's mind can go there to unalive someone because they're having financial issues, and think that that's going to help their situation, which in no world is going to help anybody in any situation. But that lets you know the kind of world that we live in and the kind of people that we're dealing with, and how bad society is influenced by money today. That lets you know the world that we're living in today, and it's a whole lot different now than it was back then. But as I said, guys, I'm just glad that the father could get closure and, move forward with what is left of his life, even though I'm pretty sure it's very hard to pick up the pieces of losing your child. I don't have any kids, but I know that losing a child is never easy, and especially if it could have been avoided, like in situations like this. But hopefully he can find the closure that he needs, knowing that he was able to lay his daughter to rest properly and, move forward with what's left of his life, hopefully. But unfortunately, guys, that brings me to the end of today's video. If you liked today's video, please don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. Please don't forget to leave me a comment down in the comment section below. And if you're not already subscribed, before you leave, please make sure that you subscribe, because it helps this channel out and helps videos get out to people who need to see them or know about these cases and other things that need to be pushed out on this channel, like other true crime cases. So if you're not already subscribed, please make sure before you leave that you subscribe. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on